Hey friends, my name is Gabby Rosalie, and this is the Crucial Conversations podcast, a platform dedicated to self-fulfillment and breaking the cycle of wasted potential. Using the tools of perspective, knowledge, wisdom, and awareness, I, with the help of qualified expert guests, share free insight and proven strategies that lead to all forms of success. If you are ready to start investing in yourself and living the life of your dreams, because I promise it is possible for all of us, you came to the right place. Together, we will help each other level up and have the crucial conversations necessary to do so. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for choosing to listen to this week's episode of the Crucial Conversations podcast. Today, we are going to be talking all about mindset and how to cultivate one that supports your dreams and connects you with your highest self. So I'm very, very excited about this topic. It's something I'm super passionate about. And to help me go into this very profound subject, I am welcoming Nova Notoriano to the show to help share her wisdom in all of these life-changing areas. I was connected to Nova through one of my previous team members at Goldfish. Shout out, June. You are a fairy in human form. And ever since I got in touch with Nova, I've done a little bit more research into her mission, and I've really fallen in love with it. So Nova is the caretaker of 14 Step, which is an app for a 15-minute daily practice meditation, new each day to support you in overcoming fear, self-limiting beliefs, and scarcity mindset. In fact, she is the only app owner I know that personally has committed to developing a money-back incentive, which I think is very, very cool, where if you participate daily, you can earn back your entire subscription. Therefore, in her words, creating a reward loop in your mind for taking care of yourself. Nova has life and health coach certifications, a crisis intervention certification, training in Reiki, which is energetic healing to give a broad definition, and training in nonviolent communication. With that being said, Nova is one of a kind. And so today we are going to be talking about forming self-serving habits, cultivating a mindset of abundance, and communication with self and with others. We'll dive into Nova's 14-step program, benefits of meditation, and how to get started on your wellness journey. So Nova, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I so appreciate the introduction as well. I haven't been introduced like that in a while, so it feels like, oh, I'm an important person in the world. And so thank you for giving that feeling to the people that you speak with. It shows.
Absolutely. I'm happy to do it. So I recently have gotten into a pattern asking the first question, no matter what the topic is that I'm going to be discussing with my guests. What piece of advice would you give to yourself 1 to 3 years ago, or in broader terms, a younger version of yourself?
Oh, lovely. Well, I love this question, first of all. And I think this is something I still need to tell myself. My husband reminded me of it literally yesterday, that our circumstances don't define us. The things that were troubling us at 5 years old are not the things that are troubling us today. And so it's really important to remember that everything in this world is temporary, including our bodies. Therefore, we shouldn't hold on to it or become too emotional when we face health or weight or financial issues. When things don't go our way, we should be grateful for the life we have, because some people don't get to wake up to this privilege. If you woke up today, you have another chance at life, and remembering that everything you're going through is temporary. So take it a little less seriously and don't let it determine your worth as a person.
Love that. And I think it's a practice that you develop mastery in over time, right?
Yes.
I think that I know intellectually, in my mind, I'm like, okay, you have to detach yourself from your emotions about certain circumstances. You don't want to tie too much of your identity to what you feel in a certain moment, and write off your entire life because of a couple of bad days. But when you're in the midst of that, it's very difficult to kind of take more of a bird's eye view. And I feel like removing yourself from the forest so that you can see the trees. That was a quote that a psychologist I recently had on the show had shared with me. And I was like, wow, this one really hit home, because I feel like it really kind of connects to what you were saying of, hey, don't attach. You are not your circumstances. Just kind of take it one moment at a time and just shift your perspective as much as you have the opportunity to do so. So I love that.
Yes. My younger self needs this.
I feel like every version of myself needs it.
Yeah, it's one that can stretch across a lifetime for sure.
Absolutely. So funny enough, Nova and I are both currently living in Costa Rica. Costa Rica is a beautiful, beautiful place. And I had been here for vacation before I made the leap to come and move here for at least the next couple of months. And Nova has been here since, I believe you said it was August of last year. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, we're breathing the same air.
Yes, I love it. And I mean, I know that Costa Rica it's a, of course, beautiful place in terms of landscapes, but the reason that I felt called to come back to Costa Rica is because I feel like it is such an inspirational place. It's got such a high energy, a lot of just beautiful people and beautiful opportunities to open up new creative and divine outlets. So I want to kind of talk a little bit about how you got started in the wellness space and then what has brought you to Costa Rica recently.
Love it. Yeah, I have similar feelings about Costa Rica for sure. Well, getting started in the wellness space, I since childhood, I understood my privilege being born able-bodied with fair skin in a society that values it, and possessing an ability to succeed in endeavors that I pursued. I found this to be a really beautiful bedrock for me, where I just started using this privilege that I had to kind of bring people up with me, you know what I mean? So that's how I got started. And I was probably, I was really young when I started getting into wellness because my younger brother was born with learning challenges. So I was exposed to groups of people who have differing levels of ability than I had. So that really gave me a window into, wow, we're all so different. We all have lots of different challenges and needs and wants and stuff. And that definitely plays into wellness. Like, we are all each so unique with all these different variables. So there's no one size fits all. And that was really exciting to me. I wanted to explore that. And so, at the age of 12, I started dedicating hours each week to volunteering with community organizations supporting individuals with diverse developmental needs. And this marked the start of my journey, where assisting others provided a meaningful distraction from myself. Because as I got older, I myself struggled with my own health and wellness and was kind of in like a live fast, die young sort of mentality, and was kind of I was taking my health and my wellness for granted. I was taking my able body for granted. I was taking all the privileges that I had been given for granted, So I think a lot of people who go on the wellness journey don't just end up there by accident. I think to some degree we've all needed it ourselves. So that was really inspiring for me to see how I was helping others, but I myself needed the help. So I started exploring a lot of different modalities, and I've since taken on various roles, including being an AA sponsor, an employment coach, a medical advocate and crisis hotline operator for sexual assault survivors, a wilderness therapy guide for at-risk youth, a coach specializing in identity work and utilizing the breath. And currently here in Costa Rica, I assist in plant medicine retreats and manage my own business named 14th Step, which we will delve into a little later on. But yeah, I love Costa Rica because I am particularly very affected by the way that Michigan's climate is, mentally and physically, and to be in a place that really supports my wellness, even if it's, some uncomfortable transition points of going to another country or handling things with family and friends or taxes and all this other stuff. It was all worth it for me if it meant putting my wellness first,
Yeah, I think It's so beautiful to hear your journey and your heart for the wellness space and the holistic approach that takes into account all of the different variables that comprise who we are as human beings, because it's not a one-stop shop, as you know, and it's not even a one-stop shop in terms of each branch of wellness. Like if we're looking at physical health, you cannot give the same protocol for diet or for exercise regimen to every single person that you're dealing with in that space because of all of the variables. And then to add on to it, a mental and emotional and spiritual and relational health that plays into our overall wellness, it's so multifaceted. And so I think that being able to connect with the individual and seeking to understand is what truly allows you to step into a position to be able to empower the people that you're working with, whether they're friends or youth that you assisted with, or maybe they're even strangers, you know, and so really taking the time to slow down and understand the individualized approach is truly the foundation for deep and vulnerable and intimate connection that is going to lead to so much growth in both the person that you're working with and you yourself. So I think that's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. And like, maybe you've heard this before, maybe our listeners have heard this before, but you know, the saying like how you do one thing is how you do everything. You know, wellness doesn't have to be just like, you know, you do yoga and you eat well. Like wellness is literally in every aspect of what we do. It's either in every aspect of what we do, or it's kind of there, or it's not there at all. And so my goal is, yeah, like you were saying, to look at the holistic aspect of somebody and be able to assess from there, and not just what they are or aren't doing for their mental health or physical health necessarily. You know, it's deep.
And another thing that you said that really resonated with me was that you were pouring into other people in the ways that you later found that you really needed to pour into yourself. And I feel that one was just like a, hey girl, you do that too, you know, because I feel like in a lot of, you know, parts of my journey, I have recognized where the areas that I am helping myself are really in helping other people. But it's so interesting, in the areas that I am seeking to empower others are oftentimes the same areas that I need the empowerment myself, you know? And so just working at it, and the holistic approach extends to the connection between more than one individual, right? Like this is a relationship. We're building rapport and we're building each other up. It's not just about this is not a one-way street. This is not a one-sided relationship. Like it is holistic in that we are working together to collectively raise our vibration. Like you said it, like, hey, I'm trying to bring other people with me, but also in helping others, we help ourselves. And I think that is just the essence of beauty, in my opinion.
Yeah. And thank you for emphasizing that, because I really think that our biggest struggles, the things that we need to learn in this life, can actually be our gifts to be shared as well, because we are traversing the journey. We are trying everything that we can to be able to get to that end goal, and other people need that information too. You know, our experiences are not so unique that nobody else goes through them. So even if you're not so far along, so to speak, on your wellness journey, I would encourage people to remember that you do have something of value to give, even if you're 12 years old, you know?
You are ripe and ready to serve. That's so beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, so that kind of answered my next question, which was, how do you describe your coaching style? So we kind of delved into it a little bit. If you want to expand any more in your style of coaching, take the floor and go ahead and do that now. And if not, no worries at all.
No, I got you. Yeah, with coaching, I used to kind of take a passive approach, more of like a space holder, reminding my clients they're enough and providing them with tools to like maybe try if you want, you know. But over my 6 years in the industry, I've developed kind of like a tough love approach where I'm holding my clients accountable while still being gentle, just gentle yet firm, you know? And, you know, I ask them to share every detail of their situation. and help them identify any subconscious programming that may be keeping them small. And from there, I offer practical and sustainable solutions that empower them in all aspects of their life. So talk therapy alone, in my opinion, is just not enough, which is why I try to use experiential methods to help my clients push past their limits. Because if we're just venting and we're just letting it all out, then that's, it has its own benefits. But when we're actually inspired to do something, literally do something, then the growth is exponential. And so all of that may have been a little bit vague because my client base is very diverse. I've worked with working professionals, recovering addicts, individuals struggling with gender, sexuality, at-risk youth, middle-aged mothers, elderly people, etc. I've noticed that mindset issues are a common problem across the board. So that's what I try to dive into, and I look forward to exploring this topic further with you today on mindset.
Well, and I mean, quite honestly, it completely answered the question. It wasn't vague. It was at the core of what you do and who you are. So thank you for sharing. And I think too that, with the wellness space, the tough love it's hard at first because you don't want to feel like you're coming off critical or like you're enforcing something on someone that, they're maybe not ready for. But I do believe that, especially for people who are seeking out a mentor or a coach or someone to help heal them in certain areas, or even just to improve their overall state of well-being, there is a certain degree of openness and welcoming that tough love. Because, for example, if you're paying for a therapy session and your therapist is just, yep, like I totally understand you feel that way, that's okay. That's like the first step. But there are so many steps that you have to take afterwards to really be able to, like you said, get into the root of the problem. And I think that in our age, the meeting people where they're at is, like I said, that's the foundation. But you can't stop there because you're missing the other half of the equation. There is that balance between accepting where you're at and who you are in your entirety, because you're worthy no matter what. But then it's the tapping into and it's the unlocking the parts of yourself that you're not currently aligned with, but that exist within you. And sometimes it takes somebody to push you past what you think you're capable of to really, really tap into those things. And we need help. We were put on this earth. All of us were put on this earth to connect with other human beings. We're not meant to do this alone. And so it's okay to seek help, and it's okay to know that you might need someone to push you because you're not in a place to push yourself right now. And I think that that's the beauty of human connection. So.
And growth is uncomfortable, if we were just like, yeah, I'm open to that, let's do it, on something really light, that's one thing. But when it's going to be something that's going to challenge your ego, it's going to challenge your way of life, it's going to, maybe be something you've never done before. Well, that's what you got to do for something you've never had, So I really like to be that person to push, just because I too need to kind of get over my need of wanting to be liked all the time, and part of that is going into those edges a little bit and showing that side of myself, because everybody needs someone who can see the end goal for the person and be like, no, I already know that you're capable of doing that. Let's go. We're going together.
100%. And I totally relate to that. And that has been my biggest area of growth in the last year. And coming into this year, I want to get rid of my people-pleasing habits. I want to release the need to feel like I am accepted and liked by everyone. And the more that I put this into practice, the more that it anchors me into who I truly am as a person and aligns me with the people that are going to love me exactly as I am. And it's funny, in practicing your authentic self and expressing your authentic self, you grow closer and closer to that version of yourself. And you're not putting a mask on all the time in order to be liked by other people. you're reinforcing who you truly are at your core. And I think that it takes practice, but you begin to not only reinforce it for yourself, but it's reinforced by your environment and the people in your environment, because they gravitate you towards you for a reason, because they like this and this and this about you. And why wouldn't you want people around you who love you for who you are? But it's a self-acceptance and a self-love practice before it is emulating that to other people. And so it's like that was my biggest place to grow and start was, hey, figure out who you are and then just be her.
Yes. Yeah. There's nothing more like radiant than someone who is absolutely willing to be themselves, even if that means being disliked a little bit. We all have parts of ourselves that are not going to rub people the right way. And that's okay. We don't need to have this absolutely glowing report card in the minds of everybody that we've ever known. I think it's important to share what we're really experiencing, who we really are, what our thoughts are, what our heart's saying, because each of us has a unique message. And if we're trying to chameleon into what everybody else is doing or saying or thinking, then we're not providing unique contributions.
And the last thing that I'll say on that topic, because I've been in the coaching industry for about the last 9 months and very early on in my journey. And I feel like I'm kind of exiting out of that phase of figuring out my niche and not trying to be like every other coach in my niche, because you have to figure out your style and your approach. And quite honestly, I respect and appreciate people that are authentic more than I appreciate people who may be someone who, like we talked about earlier, tells me all that I want to hear or looks like they know what they're doing, but I can't really get a taste of their personality. Like, I just appreciate the authenticity, and the unique voice of myself in this coaching industry is slowly coming to life, because I'm past that trying to be like everyone else, because in doing that, you're not developing your own brand. You're not, elevating yourself as a master in your niche because you're trying to be like everyone else. And there are so few people who are truly able to make the space for themselves to come into who they are and then exercise their unique voices. And so if you can commit to that, you can commit to you before you commit to trying to be like everyone else in your industry, then you're going to go so much further personally and professionally.
I'm inspired. I don't know about everyone else.
Oh, God.
Yes, preach. I love it. I resonate.
All right. The next question that I have on here, we are going to talk a little bit about scarcity. So scarcity versus abundance. And there are two very, very opposite ends of the spectrum. So can you help us to understand what a scarcity mindset looks like? Personally, I think that the idea that there isn't enough to go around, that there are so many people that have already done this that there's no way that I'm going to be able to make it, or there's just not enough, like everybody's already obtained such a high level of this, or there's too many people for this much good to exist. We have to be able to balance out the scales. Like if there's certain people who have it super, super awesome, there has to be people that are going to have it really, really poorly. Or even, on a smaller scale, looking at your own life, you can't win in all areas. Or, if I have it really, really good in this area, well, then I've got to create some balance and maybe not have it so great in this area. And so just this underlying idea that there's not enough good to go around. And good can be in any area. It can be emotional, like in terms of maybe relationships, or your state of being internally. It can be financial. It can be nutritional. Like, for example, world hunger. I mean, it's not a matter of the amount of food that we have to be able to provide for people. There is not a scarcity issue. It's a distribution issue. But even in that aspect, so there's just so many areas that you can apply that to, but the underlying notion that there's not enough good to go around.
Man, I would second all of that. I think those are wonderful definitions. And I appreciate that you brought in that aspect of balancing that a lot of us try to do. And just to add a few cents, I would say that having a scarcity mindset is choosing to go against your nature. It's basically choosing limitation on the basis of statistics we've heard, our life experience, or whatever, when we really don't have any true evidence supporting any of this, yet we're all suffering because of it.
Mm-hmm. And to echo the statistics, I mean, this is a whole nother topic for another day, but just the negativity that permeates through all of our lives through mass media and news, and just constantly like making the space for all of these statistics that keep people vibrating in a state of fear. I feel like that is such a big proponent of this scarcity mindset. And I mean, it affects us all, but it severely affects the people who are attached to whatever. It doesn't matter where you're contriving your news from. It's like, unfortunately, it is a tool and a tactic to keep people vibrating in this scarcity mindset, because if there are people who are operating at the very top of the top who are actually themselves living in a scarcity mindset and trying to keep others shielded to this idea that abundance exists for all of us, but they're trying to keep us vibrating at this low state and keep the truth hidden from us, that at our core, like, we are abundant beings and we have opportunity to align ourselves with these things. But yeah, there's so much going on.
Yes.
I swear.
No, thank you. Yeah. It's really incredible how scarcity mindset can affect even the most wealthy,
Mm-hmm.
No one is exempt except the people who choose the abundance over the limitation.
Exactly. So now I want to shift into an abundant mindset. So this nature of abundance being that your cup in all areas of your life has the potential, in all of our lives, to be overflowing. And that, again, is the opposite of this scarcity mindset. And unfortunately, this scarcity mindset thwarts our opportunity to live an abundant life. And to me, an abundant life looks like lots of love and fulfilling relationships, friendships, and relationships with your family or, romantic partners. It also looks like being able to exercise your love for life in your passions and your hobbies, and doing things that bring you joy. And, financial abundance is also something that is available to all of us. And we should not equate financial abundance with, hyper rich people that are really selfish and bad people and whatever. There is abundance for us in all of those areas of life. And so shifting from scarcity mindset to an abundant mindset, if you were working with someone to overcome some of those self-limiting beliefs and some of those tactics of, here's an abundant mindset, how do we get here from a scarcity mindset, what approach would you take?
Yeah, I think it builds on what you were saying about what abundance means to you. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you listeners out there, and believe that you lack resources, success, or privilege, it might be time to expand your perspective. And I'm not going to come at this topic as if I'm a master. I still have to come face to face with my critter brain all the time. But, these things are already present in your life, the resources, the success, the privilege. But you may not be able to see them because of your narrow viewpoint. Maybe, you're on your bleed and you're super stressful and it's really hard to see how much is really here. Or, whatever might be coming up in your life. A helpful tip for those who struggle with this mindset is to consider your morning and evening routines. So for instance, like, if you feel like you don't have enough time, you just don't have enough time for everything you want to do, you're always running out of time, you're always late, always busy, wake up. This is just an example. Wake up 10 minutes earlier and practice guided breath exercises. And in these 10 minutes, you'll feel a sense of expansion and clarity that will carry you through the day with a different rhythm and flow that provides more spaciousness. Okay, you're in a stressful situation. You take that extra deep breath. You feel that expansion. You feel time slow down, That's like just a little hack, if you feel like you're not enough, give yourself a pat on the back before going to bed for something you did well that day, even if it was something super small, like you got up and took your shower, compliment yourself. Sometimes I like to do it in the viewpoint of being my own lover, like give myself a compliment like I would a loved one. And as you drift off to sleep, remember yourself of your capabilities and envision the tasks you need to accomplish tomorrow going smoothly, or, kind of repatterning our brain when we want to wake up and be super stressed or go to bed feeling like a disappointment. These practices infuse you with more self-belief and remind you of the limitless nature of life, which helps to counteract the scarcity mindset and any nagging doubts about finances or your surroundings. Just get so immersed in your life's process and love your process, mastering your day, and you will one day find yourself down the road and living a very masterful and abundant lifestyle, all from the little steps we take today to tweak how we function.
I love that. Immersing yourself fully in the process, because the only way to tap into the potential of the present moment is to be there and be now. And that requires us to truly immerse ourselves in the journey. And, this is not at all to say that challenges do not exist or hardship does not exist. And I know that you know that, and I know that. And somebody who is, it's like the hierarchy of needs. Somebody who is struggling to put food on the table, who is struggling to have a roof over their heads, or even a safe place to call home. Unfortunately, so many of us have histories of trauma, whether that be in a relationship in your home life when you were growing up young, or if it was in a romantic relationship later, or if you literally had to struggle to survive in any way, shape, or form, emotionally, physically, literally. If you cannot fulfill those needs, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you to create the space for you to go inward and focus and de-stress and be able to decompress to the point where you're able to be like, hey, listen, I have opportunity to create this space, because again, it's the hierarchy of needs. However, the foundation of this thought process being that we need to create space and believe, it's the self-belief that you noted on. It's all about this process of alignment, because like attracts like, and we attract what we are. And so remembering the first thing that you said in the very beginning of this episode is that we are not our circumstances. So if someone is really, really struggling right now and they are going through a hardship, it's a tough chapter in life, and they don't feel like they have the ability to suffice their baseline level of needs, they can't tap into this, and this. Remembering that at your core lives an abundant nature of life, and you are not your circumstances. And so the ability to shift your perspective, that's your power. Your power is not in your circumstances right now. We have privilege. We've talked about that a little bit. That's not where our power lies. Our power lies in our abundant nature as human beings. That is not specific to you or to me or to any of our friends or people we know or super rich people or successful people. It's in all of us, but some of us have more layers that we have to shed before we can really tap in and understand and believe. And so I would just speak into anybody who's going through that phase right now where it's really hard. You don't have the opportunity to think big. You don't think you have this opportunity. Try to recognize that you may have more layers than other people that you see externally, but at our nature, we all have the same core.
Well, I'll take that whole soundbite for my morning alarm if you don't mind.
Oh my gosh. I mean, because I feel like this conversation is genuinely just bringing to light, so much of, this conversation has been great. I've already enjoyed it so much, but just the understanding of the layers that have been placed on us and really what exists, because talking about it and affirming these things that we know intellectually, but speaking them out loud is just, it's really powerful for me. So I'm loving this so far. I really am.
Yeah. And you were talking about this core, this abundant core. And I wanna just go a little deeper into that. Maybe you've heard this of like, we are of this universe, like we happen to come manifest here. And the reality is that, everything, space, our human civilization, everything is just ever expanding. And life continues beyond mass extinction or humans attempt to control it. Like, there is an abundance of life force. There is an abundance of resources and opportunities around us that we cannot even fathom. And I need to remind myself of this all the time. Even now, there are infinite possibilities for any desired outcome. You may perceive the opportunities around you as limited or not enough or scarce or not the right ones. That you might believe there is a lack of options and resources to take care of yourself or others, but it's just not true. Like, there are always opportunities and resources available to us, even if they are not exactly what we want or expect. When we shift our mindset from scarcity to abundance, we open ourselves up to a world of endless possibilities and potential. And when we choose the self-limiting thoughts instead, we're basically looking at that door leading into endless possibilities and potential and saying, no, I'd rather suffer over here, And by recognizing the abundance that surrounds us, we can just tap right into a wellspring of creativity and resilience and gratitude that enriches our lives in ways we never thought possible.
Man, I mean, have you seen the video where it zooms out from, it starts with two people laying down under a tree, and then it zooms out to a geographical map, and then the Earth, and then the solar system, and then, you know what I mean? So it goes super, super deep into the universe, and it just shows us how small we are in the scope of everything that exists in the universe. And I was just thinking about this as you were talking. We are so small in all that is, that like we are just such a minute part of this existence and the life force energy that exists outside of ourselves, not only in this planet, but this solar system, this galaxy, this universe. Like, I know that you could be successful. Like, think about how large this universe is and how much energy exists. That's the same energy that we're trying to align ourselves with. It exists for you, I promise. Like, you know what I mean?
It can't be destroyed either, so it's just getting redistributed. And if you close yourself off to receiving, then you're not going to receive.
Yes.
So
And
that's
is
simple.
my favorite thing ever. And it says it's fundamental to any science, any exchange, anything that has to do with energy. It cannot be created and it cannot be destroyed. So it all exists right now. That's the power of the present moment, but it's also the beauty that, like you said, it's just redistributed. It's just transformed. So maybe you have a lot of hardship in your life right now. The beauty of that is that energy has opportunity and potential to be transformed into something so much greater, because yeah, it sucks right now. All that energy though, it exists and it can be redistributed and transformed, which is amazing. Okay. So one of the other questions that I had on here, it's very similar to the scarcity and the abundant mindset that we've been talking about, but I want to spend just a moment on self-limiting beliefs. And if you were working with someone who thought, I'm not good enough, or I don't have the experience to qualify me for this opportunity, or I'll never make this much money, those self-limiting beliefs, and let's just start at the basic, I'm not good enough. What would be a piece of advice that you might give to someone in terms of rewiring the thoughts that they, or the words that they speak about themselves? Like, how would you rebrand that statement? I'm not good enough, or I don't feel qualified.
I've gone in the ring and wrestled with that one plenty of times. And I want to say it to whomever may be feeling this, that we choose the game. we're playing. If that's the game you're choosing, you're either going to find a way to win and get exactly that, or sorely lose and complain about how unfair the game is. So just play a different game, babe. People are living all different types of lives on this planet. You can choose. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably even grew up in a first world country. You were born with immense power and privilege to choose. And unfortunately, most people don't even use that gift. And it's a daily choosing, especially if it's a pattern that's been in your mind for a while, since childhood, or been told to you by other people too. It's a daily choosing to choose expansion and growth over our perceived limitations. And you have to want it, because growth is uncomfortable, really uncomfortable, even if it means giving yourself affirmations in the morning. I remember feeling how uncomfortable that was at first, to be like, man, I don't really believe any of this stuff about myself, but once you choose, you have to prepare and train for that which you want, because no one is a pro at their game without practice and strategy. If you're constantly practicing, knowing that you're going to fail if you try, I'm just going to do these affirmations, but I don't really believe any of them, then you're prepped for failure, and that's what you'll receive. But if you plan for success and accept it as the only option, whenever it decides to manifest, then you're going to be more able to notice and seize opportunities in all their forms, and find your way to that success. It's these self-limitations, it's really just a mental Olympics of how can I optimize my mind so I don't get in my own way or hurt others in the process.
Yeah, 100%. And just the fundamental baseline of that being that it is a choice. It is always a choice, and it might feel a little fake, a little phony at first. You're reciting these affirmations, but the power of choice is that you get to set your intention for going into those manifestations. If your intention is that you are looking to grow and you're looking to expand, you're not looking to corroborate your pattern or history of failure or, low self-esteem. Setting that intention, that's a choice. We all have a choice to do that every single day. And so just being very, very intentional with what you are trying to accomplish, and then choosing to stick to that intention throughout your day is so important.
And especially with that one too, I'm not enough. It's okay, for who? For myself? Okay, then what can I do about it? If it's for someone else, okay, what if they died tomorrow? Then what? Are you good enough now? Or, what if it's society, for example, you're not good enough for society, you're not measuring up. Okay, do you even agree with those standards? You can take that kind of scientific approach of let's just peel back all the layers. Let's just observe all of the thoughts that are here and see if I even want to believe in this.
Yes, that is so huge. Where is that thought coming from? I love that. I'm not enough. For who? Who? Half of the time that I have negative thoughts, of course, you can't believe all the thoughts that you have, because 9 times out of 10, they're not true. But to take the next step and actually try to break down that thought, if you even just take that step, you start to recognize how little those thoughts resonate with your reality, but also you start to understand the root of these things that you're thinking, and if they manifest in different ways and different words and everything like that. But if you're not enough and it's not enough for society, I love that. Do you even agree with what society's doing right now? And I feel like half of the time people who have these feelings of I'm not being good enough are the same people who are upset with all of the things that are going on in the world right now. Well, you kind of have to take it the next step when you're having these negative thoughts, and look to break the patterns by addressing the root of the problem.
Yeah. If you want to go there, you can. It's happening in your own mind, so it's all part of our perception, and it's our responsibility to clean out the mind like we do our home.
All right, next thing that I want to talk about, we're going to shift a little bit, and I want to talk about communication. So I know that you have lots of different certifications actually, but communication is, to me, the basis for true connection. And if we don't know how to communicate, whether that's with ourselves or with those around us, we lack the ability to embrace and step into intimate connection with other people and with ourselves. So I want to talk about communication, and just kind of very broad question here. What do you feel are some elements to a great communication style?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of different directions I could take this question, but I want to talk about it kind of in the frame of being in scarcity mindset or trying to work on your mindset in general. We have a lot of blind spots. Our mind wants to protect us. It wants to show us certain things and not show us other things. And to be able to communicate with other people during our process is really important, because then we can have a mirror held up to us and learn things about ourselves that we probably wouldn't have learned in isolation. I know for me, one of my tendencies when I'm going through something really tough is to like hermit until it's over and then pop out on the other side and be like, guys, hey, but honestly, like I maybe would have learned a lot more about myself, about my patterns, about, what it is that is actually being said to myself through other people. So yeah, that's part of what took me down the road of communication and studying that in general. But yeah, I would say some principles. First of all, speaking on the scarcity mindset, one of them being saying what you want, not what you don't want. When you say what you want, and leaving other people out of it and only expressing your needs and your emotions, is really powerful. So what I mean by this is like, okay, maybe, I'm trying to talk to another person and it just seems like they're not paying attention, or, oh, there's a lack of attention for me. There's a lack of space for me. Let's say that's the scenario. Instead of saying like, I feel ignored, that's not really an expression of feeling. Instead saying something like, I feel this because I need this, then you're simply recognizing and owning and communicating your needs instead of making it about someone else. I would say that's a huge, that's like a basic for everyone out there. Like when you're experiencing something really tough, it's really important for your listener to feel like they're not involved, which maybe they are. And maybe part of their actions did trigger you or whatever, trigger the scarcity mindset even, or these things. But making it about you and taking the blame off of somebody else is really important. And, I said something like, I feel ignored. I would also remove words like abandoned, ignored, manipulated, misunderstood, pressured, rejected, threatened, unwanted, used, because these are all perception. They are not actually reality. So it's important to kind of remove these words that are blaming, that are making it about other people, that are saying exactly what we don't want. I feel ignored. I feel abandoned. If we say what we do want, like, hey, I feel really close to you when this happens, or like, I feel really abundant when we get to share what our gratitude is at the end of the day, or, like stuff that you're saying more of what you want rather than what you don't want. So that's like one of the first principles I would say. Can I continue, or is there anything you might want to add on that? Okay. So, the second principle is when you're coming to somebody, maybe you're expressing your process, you're expressing these thoughts that you've been having about lack, or you're connecting, okay? Hear any thoughts or criticisms as someone else's feelings and needs and emotions separate from you. So whatever they're reflecting to you, understand that that's part of their own worldview and not necessarily anything about you. If the shoe fits, then go ahead and wear it. But, I think it's important to remember that there is inherently some misunderstanding between humans because we all have different experiences. So if someone's not receiving what you're saying, or maybe they responded in a way that you're kind of like, wow, thanks for nothing, then understand that that is separate from you. Especially if faced with criticism, we can either blame ourselves and feel bad, blame the other person and accomplish nothing, or listen to the unmet needs beneath their words.
Absolutely. I feel like too with the criticism, there are two forms of criticism. There is the divisive criticism where it's like, I am pissed off, I'm trying to break you down because I am reflecting onto you my own feelings of maybe inadequacy or whatever. And then there are people who love you and are genuinely trying to shine a light on something that you could maybe use a little bit of growth in. And I know for it's all about the intention that you go into these kinds of conversations with. I had a conversation with one of my close friends a couple of months back, and another one of my friends had been, she was out kind of doing something, and I was kind of like, oh, I'm a little worried about her. And, I'm a little worried about these decisions she's making, whatever. And I kind of want to tell her. And my friend was like, hey, Gab, like, can I be honest with you? And I was like, please. And she was kind of like, sometimes your friends might just need to come to you because they need you to listen, and they don't need your advice. They don't need your input. They don't need your opinion. And I was like, you know what? You're very right. And I needed to shift my perspective on the situation into being a supportive friend and not being someone who was trying to maybe correct a path that I perceived as the wrong path, because everybody's on their own path. And what do I know right from wrong? And so obviously the person that you're delivering this constructive criticism to, if you're doing it with good intentions, they need to be on a level with themselves that they're able to be self-aware enough to be willing to allow that constructive criticism and be able to accept it, of course. But it's really all about the intentions that you're going into these things with. If that same person maybe wasn't a friend of mine and they just came off and they were like, wow, you're so judgmental and you're just always looking to give advice and you don't know what the hell you're talking about. I mean, yeah, the human nature is to get defensive because I'm like, well, yes, I do. What the heck? You know what I mean? So I feel like having the intentions, exactly. Having good intentions though, that's so key.
Yeah. And if you want to try to avoid these situations where someone's maybe taking you the wrong way or whatever it may be, something I like to do, maybe we can call this a principle as well, is if someone is sharing with you, then before responding, asking like, what do you need from me right now? Do you want advice? Do you just want an ear? Do you want to like bounce back and forth some ideas? Do you want to think solutions? Do you just want to vent? Like give the person some options, because then you never know. They might not have wanted the advice. Maybe they do. Maybe that is the reason they're asking you. But it's nice to be straightforward about it. Like when it comes to sensitive topics, especially things that can poke on sore spots, then to be as clear as possible, even if it sounds textbook, is okay, because ultimately it's secure. It's more secure than just firing off our first thoughts, because those aren't always going to be the most refined or maybe what's needed.
Absolutely. Being straightforward, and what that requires is for the person to know what they're looking for out of a certain conversation. And what's so interesting, I believe, is that I feel like there are so many people out there who sometimes they don't even know what they want. They don't even know what they want or what they need out of a situation or a conversation. They don't know if they want to vent. They don't know if they need advice. They don't know if they want to go back and forth. And so I feel like bringing this degree of consciousness and awareness to your life, it enhances every single one of your relationships, experiences. Your ability to connect with someone is so it's deepened so much by the level of awareness that you're able to bring, and then be able to be reciprocated in that conversation with, while you're going back and forth with someone, because you have to know yourself in order to open up the space to know other people. And so that's what, surrounding yourself with people who are going to raise you up, and you don't always want to be the smartest person in the room. You've got things to learn from people, like, again, whole nother topic for another conversation, but yeah, very important to go into things with awareness.
Yeah. Yeah. And trying to place that focus on people's underlying needs and just making observations instead of judgments can really revolutionize the way you interact with anybody, even your worst enemies.
The last thing that I want to talk a little bit about is 14 step. So I want to talk about what it is, why is it beneficial, and how can listeners take the next step in their wellness journey by connecting maybe with you or downloading 14 step. Take the floor and give us the gig.
Yeah, well, 14 Step was birthed from a very, very real place. Both my husband and I are recovered addicts, and we have worked in the therapeutic realm, and we got to see all these different recovery programs and stuff. And we were just like, wow, this really isn't working for people. The current models are keeping people very self-identified with the problem that they're facing. Constantly focusing on the problem. And what we decided to do was branch off and create something that could support people's morning and evening routines, like I was saying, for a little scarcity prescription, focusing on morning and evening routines so that you can start creating more spaciousness between your thoughts, your situations, and your identity that's keeping you in this loop of whatever you don't want. So 14 step isn't just for people who suffer with addiction. It can be all sorts of things. Maybe it's scarcity mindset. Maybe it's just fear or whatever struggle that you're going through in your life. This is very much like a plug and play. It's meditation with sound healing and infusing abundance into your daily routine, which is really important because I know when I was on my own, not doing 14th step, not quite where I'm at now, trying to keep myself accountable to say my affirmations every single morning was like driving me crazy. And when the user can sit down with a video, everything's guided, you do breath work to kind of further repattern yourself. It's important to focus on both mind and body. We created this for people just to be able to have something accessible, because when you're not feeling like taking care of yourself, it's really hard to do anything for yourself if you don't love yourself. So if you can just sit down with a 15-minute guided video every day, people can also earn money, like I said, from taking care of themselves. So it's kind of interesting. Most platforms, like the more you use it, the more you pay. But with ours, the more you use it, it's essentially free, So I think that's important because we need little rewards until the long-term result comes, or else us humans are going to seek the rewards elsewhere. And those rewards can be very, they can be hidden, like in disguise, you know what I mean? A reward in disguise. So sitting down and bringing stillness into your life, intentional meditation with these like little abundance codes, you're just better equipped to handle the day, And like I said, mastering the day is the most important thing. Beyond that, we will never know. We don't know the future. But if we can just handle today, then I'd say you're doing pretty good.
And I love that they're 15 minutes because you're not asking somebody to wake up at 4:30 in the morning and section off an hour and a half of their day. And because, we're programmed very similarly. Okay. If we want to implement a change or a new habit in our lives, if we can make it as easy for ourselves to do it as possible, the more likely we are to do it and then stick to it. And so I know for me, if I am looking to incorporate meditation into my morning routine, I'm not going to start out with an hour-long meditation because it is not realistic. I might work my way up to it, but I think that for anyone who is looking to get started and just make the commitment to invest in themselves and grow, and maybe they're just starting to meditate or whatever it is, they're starting on their wellness journey, 15 minutes. We can all do 15 minutes. And so I love that. And your money back incentive, I think, is so powerful. And it really shows your heart for what you're doing. Like, this is not a get rich quick scheme. This is like, you're doing this because you want to impact people that are looking to improve their mindsets, are looking to shift their perspectives. You are doing this because your heart is in this. And obviously your past and all of the things that you've done and all the work that you've contributed in service to other people in the world obviously showcases your heart. But I think that even in this small scope of your journey, like, that just says so much about you and so much about your husband. And so I love that. And I will make sure that I link everything for anyone who is interested in the app. And if there's anything that you want to plug, if anyone's looking to do maybe a one-on-one call with you or your husband, I'll let you kind of end with that. And then I can include those links as well.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you. Thank you for those kind words. And I appreciate you seeing me in my attempts to give back and create more abundance in other people's lives, especially nowadays when mental health resources can be just scattered around or maybe really expensive to be able to talk to somebody. We want to create the space for people to share what's going on with them so that we can help them find a solution. So you can create a little booking on our website, 14step.com. That's the number 14step.com. And on there's a little section that says schedule a free support call, and you get to meet me and my husband, Mamoon, and we can talk through whatever it is that's on your mind, on your heart. And I might even ask you that same question of, do you want advice? Do you want to bounce ideas? Do you want to, and be able to create a solution together. And it's really important to seek mentorship outside of your direct circle of all the people who know exactly what's going on and know this person at work or know your partner or whatever. It's nice to detach from that and be able to go in with both the masculine and feminine perspective as well. I love that we can bring that for people where they don't have to just talk to a woman or just talk to a man, but be able to get a well-rounded perspective and it's really just to connect. I just want to connect with y'all. So please feel free to fill that out, and I can't wait to talk with you.
Yay. Okay. I will include all of those links. And thank you so much, Nova, for today's conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was very enjoyable to learn more about you and your journey and just hear some of your insights. I loved it. I had so much fun.
No, thank you. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait till we can frolic in a waterfall sometime soon.
Oh, please. Yes, we will connect so soon. Thank you so much, Nova. And I will be in touch. Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Much love. Thank you.
Hey, y'all. Before you head out, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode, and most importantly, thank you for making the conscious decision to invest in yourself and expand your mind. By doing so, you are helping to elevate us all to live better lives. By showing up and emulating the things that you learned in today's crucial conversation, you are inspiring those around you. If you want to continue this domino effect, share this episode with someone that you want to help to unlock their maximum potential. And connect with me on Instagram at crucial.conversations to share your valuable feedback and offer recommendations for what you'd like to hear in future episodes. I love you all. Keep shining your unique lights, and I will see you next time on the Crucial Conversations podcast.